Let's see why the Buffalo Bills are en route to the playoffs.
Come on now, the Bills are making it happen now. Stand up now, come on and shout.
Buffalo Bills go undefeated. And we're going to the Super Bowl.
Yeah. Now, baby, come on, come on.
No one
Come on
circles the
and
wagon
shout.
like the Buffalo Bills.
Okay, we are live and we are back. Welcome to another edition of the Overdue Bills podcast. So I know you guys see it. It's flying solo today. Just myself. You know me, Matt. I got a special guest for you guys today. It's another Bills football week. We're heading down to good old Jacksonville, Florida, to face off against the Jacksonville Jaguars. We got a special guest for you guys. And me and him are going to dive into this game. How about you introduce yourself? I got my guy Phil here.
Yeah, hey Matt, what's up? Thank you guys so much for reaching out, and sorry for we had some scheduling issues as well, so I'm glad we could make it work. I'm super excited to talk football with anybody's fan base. I mean, that's one I'm sure you can speak on this. Like, one of the best things about doing this is getting to connect with fan bases that you really don't get to learn about teams that you really don't know anything about. So it's always one of my favorite things. I actually have a special connection to Buffalo. I have a lot of really close friends from Tonawanda, and I've actually visited. I've been to the stadium before. I went a couple of years ago to a preseason game. So I always secretly root for the Bills when we're not playing each other. You can actually see my Bills hat back here. My friend Sarah, shout out to my friend Sarah, who upon picking me up from the airport had a t-shirt and a hat ready for me. So I had to dress accordingly to get to the game. So I always have had a special relationship with Buffalo and the Bills for sure. So I'm excited to join y'all here today.
That's good, man. Hopefully she brought you to get some good wings when you were here, some good food, met some good Buffalo people. Man. I'm glad to hear it.
Dude, I love eating in Buffalo, man. I've visited a couple times. It's fantastic. Love it.
I'm glad, man. But we're going to take care of a little bit of housekeeping. This episode and every other episode is brought to you by Buffalo Wing Kings. Being from Buffalo, there's two things the guys here at Overdue Bills podcast know. That's Bills football, and that's wings. Our first choice and the best choice is Buffalo Wing Kings. At Wing Kings, it's Wings 101. With over 101 different flavors and their beloved Wing of the Month special, Wing Kings is sure to school every other wing place around. Stop down to their website. They're available for Bills games, parties, just anytime you need some wings, go see Buffalo Wing Kings. Stop down to their Elmwood Village location at 484 Elmwood, or give them a call at 716-248-1427 and find out why they say, and we know, they got the best wings in town, hands down. And make sure you mention our name, Overdue Bills Podcast, and get 10% off your order. And then we got to talk about the website, overduebillspod.com, overduebillspod.com. We got our merch up there. We got our beloved writer, Mike. He's going to have an article for you guys Friday, like every Friday that he does. We just wrapped up our breast cancer awareness merch. We're going to have all of our content up there, our videos, all of our social media handles. This episode will be up on there. So make sure to go check out overduebillspod.com. All right. So we're going to get into this show a little bit here. As per customary, we start with a little quick question of the day. Quick question of the day. So, I'm an Ohio State guy. So, I form my own opinion about this guy, but, what is the thoughts for, I guess, the general public on our guy Urban Meyer? Because I know he got himself in a little trouble. He's had some crazy quotes this year. So I just want to know what's going on over there, man.
Well, of course, being in Jacksonville as well, we're also in Florida Gator country, so
True.
Between Ohio State fans and Florida fans, they both know the feeling of being essentially ghosted and abandoned by Urban Meyer. So that hasn't gone away. Florida fans are still upset about that. Yeah. And, I'm not a Gator fan myself, but, being able to get the temperature of the fan base, it upset a lot of people. And even more so because, of course, he went to Ohio State, just a couple of years later. So it's going into this, we understood the idea of it because it was Shad Khan, the owner, wanting to make a splash. You know what I mean? And now we're now we're in the news, but for the wrong reasons. You know, you had the thing with the strength coach in the offseason. Then you had the Tebow thing, which like was just a minor, you know, it was like a minor inconvenience, you know, who was only around for like a little bit, but was just not good. And then you have the incident at the bar. And it's like, and I remember like me and my co-host, shout out to Jay over on our show, Believe in the Jaguars. Like, I remember we're like just enjoying our night and enjoying our weekend. I think it was like a holiday weekend too. We played pretty well against the Bengals. And then like our phones start blowing up on a Saturday night about some video of Urban Meyer. And we're like, dude, we can't just relax, like take the long weekend. They played on Thursday. No, we get that video come up. And like, I can tell you in the beginning, people were pretty optimistic. Like it seemed like the culture, people were buying, like players were buying in.
Yeah.
You know, you bring in guys that are high energy and good for the locker room, like Shaq Griffin from Seattle. And people are buying into it. But now, like, as the team, especially after last week, because, you know, of course, we win in Miami. And up to that point, they're playing better, too. And then they come out and then they look worse after the bye, which is baffling. Like, that shouldn't happen. So I got to tell you, like, where the fan base was maybe like 70-30 in the beginning of the year, it's getting closer to like 50-50, 40-60. People are ready for him to go.
Yeah.
So it's the thing that with everybody is just worrying about the growth of Trevor Lawrence. Like this isn't going to happen again. Like you're not just going to fall into a generational quarterback again. So like the thought there is just worrying about and thinking about all the other rookie quarterbacks that had to go through different coaches and different schemes. Like you guys have Mitchell Trubisky like on your team. Like that's one of the examples right there. Jameis Winston, like all these guys that never got a chance. So we think that Trevor Lawrence is of course better than those guys, but like you still worry about not having that kind of consistency. So while it was pretty optimistic in the beginning, when you play like that against Geno Smith, like, and all due respect to Geno, but like you guys played Geno for a while, you know who Geno Smith is.
Yep.
and what he is as a player.
Exactly.
So when you play like that against a team that is like reeling, like Seattle was reeling, they were like trying to find an identity, and then you go out and you lay an egg. It's not good. So we're getting to the point now where people are ready to see him go.
Yeah, it's pretty bad when, you know, he's the number one Halloween costume for like frat guys, you know, with the bar costume. It was pretty crazy. But yeah, no, that's I guess that's kind of the consensus I was reading into, but I just wanted to see, you know, behind the front lines here, what you guys were thinking down there.
Yeah.
So we're going to get into this week. Let's talk a little bit, I guess, about the injury report. I mean, you guys had a big scare last weekend with James Robinson, and you know, I just been seeing the headlines because obviously everybody's in fantasy, right? And I know I have him on my team. Yeah. So I'm vested in him for sure. So just what's the injury report looking like down there? I guess I'll let you go, then I'll do the injury report for us too.
Yeah, for sure. It's day to day right now with James Robinson, and you know, it seemed like the game plan last week in Seattle was to just run the ball with James Robinson and then do a bunch of dink and dunks and run short routes. And then once he went out, man, they couldn't move the football whatsoever. You know, They scored in the fourth quarter, really, really late. Game was already over. And he's their workhorse, man. I mean, there is an argument to be made that he is a top 10. And then when he's at his best, he is borderline top 5 at his position. And for some reason, this coaching staff, specifically the offensive coordinator, Darrell Bevell, it just refused to run him more than 18 times a game. I think 18 was his cap throughout the entire season. We haven't seen anything above that. And then now, of course, he's hurt. So, you know, we're not sure how long that's going to last. I can tell you that if James Robinson isn't in the game on Sunday, they're going to have they were already going to have a difficult time scoring against Buffalo's defense. Yeah. Now without James Robinson, with the guy that just has that, even though he doesn't have like breakaway speed, has that incredible change of direction. Like it's nuts. We've had him for almost a year and a half, and still when he does it, I'm like, oh my God, like I can't believe how good this guy is. So if he can't go, and you know, to be honest with you, as much as I want to see Trevor have that, you know, that workhorse to lean on, if he's not 100%, I would sit him out. I mean, you want this guy to be around for a really, really long time. And
Yeah.
they again, like you said, they survived a scare. Like it could have been a really, really bad injury, and it wasn't. So if I were the coaching staff, I would just sit them and then rely on the the guys you have right now. But right now, it's day to day.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, you're 1-6 on the season. You're not exactly playing for the division, I'm kind of with you on that for sure. So on our side, it's not really the positional guys, with the exception of Dawson Knox. We already knew he was out, but there is two guys that ended up on the injury report this weekend. John Feliciano, who's our offensive line has been kind of in limbo. So, losing a staple there, that would be pretty bad. He didn't practice today, and it doesn't look like the forecast is good on him. And then Spencer Brown, he had that workout. He hurt his back working out. So last week he was actually not playing. So he, that's another guy who was on the injury report. That's about it for the injury report. And then we got Dawson Knox, who obviously didn't practice today, but for him to even like be on the injury report saying, oh, he's not practicing today, it's kind of a good sign that he may be coming back sooner than everybody thought. So that's kind of good on the injury side there. But so I guess we'll go over to without James, without the running back there, without him, we're going to get into your wide receiver core, because they're going to have to lean pretty heavily on Trevor Lawrence. And it's not really a good thing going into a game against us, because our secondary, is probably the top secondary in the league. And, we're giving up, a 61.4 passer rating and 4.4 yards per attempt. And that's not really too promising for a rookie going into that kind of secondary. So I just want to hear about like your wide receiver core and how you think that they'll fare against our secondary. And also, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No,
but McDermott too. We're talking about preparation coming out of a bye. McDermott has always in his career done well against rookie quarterbacks. He's 6-1 in his career against rookie quarterbacks. So that's another, I guess, not too promising thing. But yeah, tell me a little bit about the guys that Trevor's going to have to throw to and how you think he's going to do against the secondary.
Yeah, you asked how they're going to do. Not good, Matt. Not good. Here's the thing. Of course, you have Marvin Jones back there, who is, he's definitely has become Trevor's go-to and most reliable guy. But even he had a rough game on Sunday against Seattle, dropped a couple of passes. And when he isn't going, then they're going to have a tough time finding anybody else. DJ Chark was lost earlier in the year. We got confirmation that he's out for the season. Really tough break for him, because Urban Meyer took a special interest in him throughout training camp. Before the start of every training camp, he was off to the side working with DJ one-on-one. So he I think, identified that DJ could have been a special player, but also he was struggling here in the beginning of the season as well. And the problem with the wide receivers, because after Marvin Jones, you have Laviska Shenault, second-year player, Jamal Agnew, who up till now has essentially just been a return specialist, but has shown he has the ability to be a solid receiver. They have Tyron Johnson, who came over from the Chargers, and in a surprise roster cut, but he has been a non-factor. He has not been able to produce whatsoever. Tavon Austin, who can take like the top off, but he's 31 years old. I mean, he's not that same guy. And then the tight ends, Dan Arnold came over in the CJ Henderson trade, and he's been okay as well. But the problem is they can't get separation. And like, I'm sure, as like as we've gotten to learn more about this game, if you can't separate, then the quarterback, there's nothing they can do, they can only throw a receiver open so much. Like it's tough, especially for Trevor. I mean, last week against Seattle, he threw the ball 54 times. Like, you're not going to win with a rookie quarterback that throws the ball 54 times. It's just not going to happen. One thing that we want to see, and Jay and I talked about this on our episode this week, is Laviska Shenault, like really, really big expectations coming into the season, and he's kind of underproduced. Like, he is going to be relied on as one of these pillars of the offense, and they fail to get him the ball until like the third quarter, and like it's not conducive to a wide receiver to not get involved until 3 quarters into the game. Like, they need to scheme around him and get him the ball. Like last week, they ran the ball with him once, and he had a little bit of a burst and got 8 yards, and then they never went back to him again. Like, you need to do that. If that's a guy, like his nickname was like Swiss Army Shenault. Like he does a little bit of everything. He did that a lot last season under Doug Marrone, a name you guys
Yeah, we don't say his name. He's like Voldemort here, man.
My fault. As I said it, I was like, oh, maybe I shouldn't mention it. Maybe I shouldn't mention him. But the point is, they used him, in the running game. They used him a lot on screens, got him going early, and they're not doing that this year. They're using him more as just a wide receiver. But if he's not going to get separation, he's not going to get the football. So they need to scheme around him and use him in the way that was initially intended. Like in Colorado, he was the only bright spot on that football team. They were not a good team. He played some running back, he played quarterback, he played wide receiver. So he has the ability to do it. And now that the other receivers are struggling and DJ Chark is out, then you got to find ways to get in the ball. So if they can't scheme around a way to get guys open, then like you said, the secondary is going to eat him up, man. And it's going to be rough. And, it's you want to see the team get better, as the season goes on. But based off what we saw against Seattle, who is not very good on defense, it doesn't leave a lot of optimism to play, this defense.
Yeah. And to kind of piggyback on that, our secondary is just guys that, I guess, the epitome of a lockdown corner, and Trey White, he has yet to give up a touchdown yet. I think he has the most coverages in the NFL without a touchdown. I know I saw a stat on the guy, I believe from Atlanta. He had 199 coverages, and Trey was just above him. So that just goes to show, if you don't have a number one receiver, then it's going to be, if he's going to just be the number one receiver and he can't get separation already, it's going to be a tough go. And then you got guys that are playing at an all pro level, and Jordan Poyer, the highest rated safety in the league right now. And then you got Micah Hyde. And then, we have discussions about it all the time. And a guy, I guess Trevor Lawrence would be able to try to get some success on would be Levi Wallace in our second corner. Team's been having to pick on him because you're not going to throw at Trey White or our nickel corner, Teron Johnson, who's been playing great this season also. So I guess I'll flip it over to the offensive side. So, in your guys' secondary, how do you think, obviously coming in, we got 2 all-pro receivers and then Emmanuel Sanders coming into the game. How do you think that who's going to be covering those guys, and how do you think that they're going to fare against this group?
It's it's tough because Shaq Griffin struggled mightily last week against DK Metcalf, but everybody does.
I know, he's a freak of nature. Yeah.
So that should be an outlier. It shouldn't even count. Because earlier in the season, when he followed around guys, he was following DeAndre Hopkins for a game against the Cardinals. But granted, DeAndre Hopkins, he was hurt. He was coming off a rib injury, and we're not athletes. And when our ribs hurt, it hurts athletes as well when ribs, they have a rib injury. That takes a while to heal. So you take that with a grain of salt. You saw what Jamar Chase did and what he is doing, in Cincinnati. So the thing with Shaq Griffin is that was our big money signing. And to be honest with you, Shaq Griffin, he's a good player, but that is on a really, really good team. That's a B level signing, but for the Jaguars who are rebuilding, that's our top tier signing. And he played a lot of zone coverage in Seattle, and here he's being asked to do things he's not necessarily used to. I assume he'll trail Stephon Diggs. We'll see how that goes. The guy that is most worrisome, that we're most worried about, is the rookie Tyson Campbell. Tyler Lockett ate him up, and Tyler Lockett's a very special player as well. Yeah, but he went off. I don't have the stats up in front of me, but Tyson Campbell was just lost the entire time. And he's a rookie, but still, and I guess it's trial by fire, but between those two guys, Trey Herndon is a guy that's just, I guess I'll say this, Matt, the Jaguars have a lot of players that are starting on defense that would be fighting for playing time elsewhere, which is unfortunate. And it's that's where, Trent Baalke, the GM, and Urban Meyer have to come in this offseason and really make a big splash, especially on defense. We have guys that are locker room leaders, that Rayshon Jenkins at safety, Shaq Griffin at DB, as I've just been talking about, but we don't have an alpha. The Bills are full of alphas. You know what I mean? If you talked about Jordan Poyer, if you need a stop, if you need a play, that guy's going to go get it. If you need to make make a really big time catch, Stephon Diggs is going to go get that ball. Yeah. We don't have that on either side of the football quite yet. Trevor Lawrence is an alpha and he will get there. but like he doesn't have another one to rely on. Like we talk about 2017 a lot here, of course, in Jacksonville, because they had Calais Campbell, they had Jalen Ramsey, they had Leonard Fournette, even like in his rookie year, was that guy, you know. But they just don't have that personality on the defense that can go get them the ball or get them a stop right now. There's a bunch of young guys. I mean, Miles Jack is a really good player, but is probably the second best linebacker on a really, really good team. You know what I'm saying? So we're relying on these guys to be our alphas, but they're not, you know? So it's really tough because early on in the season, they really were in bend, don't break mode because the offense couldn't score. So they really just kind of like held the dam together as long as they could until eventually it just broke and the other team started scoring. So I really do like the defensive coordinator, Joe Cullen. He was here a long time ago as a defensive line coach. He came over from Baltimore, and they want to run Baltimore schemes, but they don't have Baltimore level talent.
No, I got you.
So that's kind of where we're at right now on the defensive side.
Okay. Yeah. So I mean, I guess we can transition over to, we got Josh Allen versus Josh Allen this week. I know, I watched the London game and it seemed like Josh Allen was making, all the timely plays in that game, kind of attributed them to that win. So with the, I guess our line, when they're fully together, they're not playing that great. What do you think as a forecast for maybe the D line over there, and especially Josh Allen for a struggling Bills O-line? How do you think they're going to fare on that?
Yeah, that's been the one, definitely a bright spot is just Josh Allen. He had 2 sacks against Seattle the other day. And the guy on the other side, Dewan Smoot, who has been here for a while, has been getting there as well. The thing that was frustrating early on is that they were getting to the quarterback, but they weren't finishing. So it was good to see that in London and against Seattle. So hopefully with some injuries on the Bills offensive line, they'll be able to continue that momentum. The problem is they're not getting there fast enough, and the secondary is getting cooked. So they're able to get to the quarterback, but then stuff will happen. Like, I mean, I was rewatching the game for our episode earlier in this week, and the list of penalties that I had written down before the third quarter even ended was insane. So like maybe they'll get home or maybe they'll get a stop, but then there is a roughing the passer call. And then there's a what else do I have? There was an offsides penalty that negated an interception. So they're shooting themselves in the foot for a defense that's already having trouble. It's just not going to work. Like they got Caleb Chase on, who was a first round pick from a couple of years ago. He was part of the Jalen Ramsey trade, has not really produced at all. So, when you miss on stuff like that, when on the most important sides of the ball, then this is what you're going to get a couple of years later. Sorry about my dog in the back.
It's all good. It's all good, man.
He wanted to make an appearance. Sorry about that.
Yep.
But yeah, so when you make dumb decisions dumb mistakes like that, and that's partly on coaching and partly on the players, like the lack of discipline. So, it's I definitely think Josh Allen will have another solid game. And, even when, and this is another thing I'm sure you've learned as we've gotten to do this a lot more, is even if they're not getting home, are you getting pressure? Are you getting in the quarterback's face? And Josh Allen's been able to do that. I know there was a time there was like this weird rivalry between Jags and Bills fans, like our Josh Allen is better. Like now we know, like your Josh Allen is much better, but our Josh Allen is also very good. So it's like he'll definitely, I think, still have a solid game. And one thing that we are worried about is because he struggled last year, he had a little bit of a slump, and we were worried that, well, he's going to need another guy across from him. Like, I mean, before he had Calais Campbell, Malik Jackson was on the line as well, so now he's really coming into his own and getting a little bit more comfortable. And even though he doesn't have that, all pro style talent on the opposite side. So it's trending in the right direction. It's just, he doesn't have a lot of help.
Yeah, no, for sure. And we know all about, we harp on it a lot on this show. Our defensive line is some would call it the weaker spot. We argue back and forth. We know that we're top 10 in pressure in the NFL, but guys just don't get home. It's been a lot better this year with the additions of Greg Rousseau and Jerry Hughes has been playing a lot better. We have a lot of the younger guys that are actually getting home, but we definitely know all too well about the the getting there but not getting home. So it looks we're not getting the sacks on paper, but it's definitely guys are making the effect on it.
How is sorry, I didn't mean to cut you. How is Russo doing? He was a guy that they looked at heavily for that second pick in the first round.
Yeah, so I mean, we were around that same pick, right? So the ETN was a big name floating around here, and then obviously, we didn't get, you guys got him, and then Rousseau's been playing really well though. He's actually leading our team in sacks, believe it or not. I saw
that, yeah.
Yep, yeah, he's leading our team in sacks, and then he also, his nickname is Groot. He's just a big physical specimen out there. He's a rookie, so on tape, you'll see him make some rookie moves, but then there's other plays where he just flashes, and it's like, oh, this guy's special, especially with the depth that we have now at that position. We don't have to kind of depend on him as a Pittsburgh Steeler as a Steelers have to depend on like a TJ Watt or something like that. He does have the room to grow, but in that room he is making some great plays. Like you saw Sunday night where he had that interception on Pat Mahomes. And, he's making crazy, tackling Derrick Henry in the Tennessee game. Yeah. Just plays like that just wow you. So he's definitely doing pretty well. But, speaking of players, we kind of do a thing where we have you guys pick a player that, really isn't in the headlines or the spotlight that, we're going to know more about on Sunday because he's been making plays or been making strides throughout the season, but he just doesn't get the attention. I'll let you get the floor for that.
Oh, heck yeah. I love this question. We do something similar like this too. One guy that definitely, I mean, it's not even necessarily because obviously he was making headlines earlier, and I mentioned him a little bit. It was Jamal Agnew. Of course, he had, the kick six earlier in the season. He has a kickoff return as well. And, people, of course, assume and are correct to assume that he is a return specialist. I mean, he was an all-pro a couple of years ago. But as I mentioned, he definitely is starting to blossom as a wide receiver. And he has that ability. Like, again, if he can find that ability to separate, or if they can scheme a little bit better for him, he's definitely progressing in the right direction. But on defense, I'll go with a guy I just mentioned a second ago too, which is Dewan Smoot, who is kind of the running mate to Josh Allen. So he'll line up opposite of Josh Allen. And same thing with him. He's getting he's had a few really solid sacks on the season as well. Had a big one against Miami. He's a guy that, again, getting there, but hasn't quite been able to close as much as you would want him to for the amount of times he's been in the backfield. But he's been a disruptor. So that's a guy. He's been here for a really long time. You have those players that are just kind of locked into the fan base that have been around for a while, and he's one of those guys for sure. So Dewan Smoot, Jamal Agnew, those are definitely two guys that I would say that you'll see a lot of, given the fact that, one, of course, as I mentioned, on offense, they don't really have a lot of options at wide receivers. So hopefully they'll be able to get him involved a little bit more. And then Dewan Smoot just being that guy opposite of Josh Allen that really has contributed to the fact that Josh Allen is having a little bit of a bounce back year for sure.
Gotcha. Yeah, I'm glad you we'll have somebody to look out for this Sunday. So we're gonna switch into a little bit of segment. I know some of the guys here they do play a little bit the gambling, the FanDuel and the player props and all that jazz. So we do a little over under segment. We take some of the player props and we kind of talk about how they will if we think they're gonna meet that, go over that or under that for this game. But I have to get to our presenting sponsor for that segment, Buffalo Pet Supply. Do you have a pet? Are you looking into getting a pet, or do you know somebody who has a pet? And there's only one place to send them for everything to make that pet live its best life. Buffalo Pet Supply. Specializing in fish, small animals, and reptiles, the knowledgeable staff at Buffalo Pet Supply can get you set up or maintain whatever setup you have. Stop down and see the family-owned and operated staff at 1345 Military Road in Kenmore, or give them a call at 716-874-1951. All right, so the over-under segment. So I guess we're going to start with we'll start with the game because there's an interesting stat. The Jags are on a little bit of a streak here. I guess they're at 9 games in a row. They've been under. So I'm wondering, it's currently set at 48.5 right now. I'm wondering, do you think that that's gonna hit, or do you think it's gonna go over? Or do you think it's gonna go under?
I would take the under again, unless there's a lot of garbage time points from the Jags. I think it's going to be tough for them to score, not only because the offense is inept, but also the defense. It may be a situation where Buffalo can kind of start to pull away from this. That's essentially what the Seahawks did. 17-0. It's sad to think that if your team goes down 17-0, the game is basically over for you. And that's kind of where we're at right now. Just especially if James Robinson is going to be out. I mean, he's played great at home. I mean, he's played great all season, but he's really played good at home in front of the home crowd. But again, unless there's going to be, like I said, a bunch of garbage time points, I think it's going to be they're going to have a tough outing. So it may be a situation where Buffalo can get a lead, 14, 17, 20, 21, nothing, and just kind of coast from there. Just play really, really good defense, which I'm sure they're going to do. Coming out of like you said, coming out of the bye, they'll be locked in. And for a team with the aspirations that Buffalo has, you can't come in and lose to a team that you're better than. So I don't expect Sean McDermott to allow that to happen. No. So I would definitely hammer the under.
All right. So we're gonna go to the next one. It's gonna be Trevor Lawrence. His over/under passing yards total is at 225 right now. Now the Bills have yet to give up a 300-yard passer. I'm just gonna give you a little bit of that insight first before you make your prediction on that.
Yeah, I would take the over on that simply because there might be a high volume of throws.
Yeah.
So, and again, playing into the having to throw late third, fourth quarter. Yeah, I don't think he's going to get 300, like you said, but I think you could safely get the over in that instance. I mean, like you said, he's had a couple of games this season where he's thrown over 50 times, which is just not great. But that might be the instance here, because after James Robinson, you got Carlos Hyde, Dare Gumbawale. They just picked up a running back whose name is escaping me, who spent the last couple of years here. They just reclaimed him. Divine Zigbo, who's a good back, but none of them are James Robinson. So if they have to go pass heavy, then I would maybe take the over. I could see him ending with like 230 to 250, somewhere around there.
Yeah, I definitely like that over too. Just like you said, surely off the volume. If he's going to throw it 40, 50 times and he doesn't, then that's another issue in itself.
Let's hope that's not under.
Yep. So we're going to switch over to Josh Allen. His over under set at 289.5 this week. What do you think about that?
Oh man, the thing is, he's not going to need to throw for 300. So. Yeah. I would take the under, maybe because not necessarily because he's not going to have a good game, but he's not going to need to throw for 300 yards to beat the team. They can find themselves in a position, as I just mentioned, where they're comfortably ahead in the third quarter and they can just kind of manage the football game from there. Put Mitch Trubisky in. Let's get weird.
Yeah, you know what? We've had two Mitchie T sightings this year. I'd like to have a lot more with the scores being lopsided this year for the rest of the season. I'm gonna go over though, because there's been a lot of instances where we haven't needed to throw the ball, but I think that our running game has just been so terrible. We just really haven't been able to get it going, that Josh kind of has to throw the ball 30 to 38 times a game, and even late, we'll still be throwing on, we'll be up, like, we were up in the Washington game, the Miami game, we were up 35-0. We were throwing the ball late in the game. So just because we couldn't get the run really and keep it going. And then there's the injuries on the offensive line, the shuffle on the offensive line. There's not a lot of confidence. I don't think there's a lot of confidence there in the run game. So I think he'll go over just off of a kind of a volume and big play aspect of that. Yeah. So all right, we're gonna go to the old pass catchers here. So we'll start on your end. We got Marvin Jones. His over under is set at 47.5.
I would take the over on that, simply because he is the go-to guy. Yeah. And again, also been able to play really, really good at home. It's strange, like I said, he struggled against Seattle, but he had his best game against Miami, and they were able to take advantage of some of those big plays. And Trevor is throwing these guys open. You can see it when you put on the tape, like that is happening. So yeah, I would definitely take the over on that.
Okay. And then we got Stephon Diggs. His over under set at 77.5 right now, which is, he was averaging about, I think we were doing these last season. He was averaging like 95 to 97. It was crazy.
Yeah, I'd hammer the over on that. Yeah. Again, Shaq Griffin is a good player, but I mean, Stephon, it's a cheat code to play with Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs in Madden. So if they just do that, what I do in Madden, they'll be fine. Yeah, I would definitely take the over, especially if he gets mismatched against Tyson Campbell, against a rookie who's just going to be able to exploit. Trey Herndon, again, is not a top tier cornerback either. That's a guy who is fighting for a roster spot elsewhere in the league. So they just are struggling so bad, especially in the in the second level of the secondary as well. The safeties are having trouble as well. So I would definitely take the over on Stephon Diggs.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. So then we're going to go into the last part of our over under here. We've been the king of this year, number one in the league in takeaways, and the Jaguars, I believe, are in the bottom half of the league. We have 18 takeaways. They have 12 giveaways this year. So I know, obviously rookie quarterback, young guys, they're giving the ball away a little bit more. I think was Trevor Lawrence have 7 picks this year or
I believe so. Something like, I don't have it up here in front of me. Something like that. Yeah.
But we're going to go over under Bills defense, over under 1.5 takeaways this week.
So the thing is, like, Trevor was taking care of early on, he definitely had a big problem with turning the ball over. Mm-hmm. But in the last few weeks, he had been cleaning that up quite a bit. He had a bad one against Seattle. But other than that, was taking care of the ball. The thing that is causing us to still be optimistic is, like, you see 4 or 5 moments in a game where you're like, oh boy, Trevor Lawrence, he's figuring it out. You know what I mean? Like, that's probably what's happened with you guys in the last couple of years with Josh Allen. It's like, oh, this guy is starting to figure it out. You know what I mean? So we're getting that a few times a game. So if he can, they haven't necessarily had a big, like, a fumbling problem either. So I could see like 1 interception, maybe, if he's being because he still has been a little careless here and there. So I would take the under, but, like, I wouldn't be surprised if they a couple.
It's not a confident bet.
Yeah, exactly. I would just stay away from that one altogether. Actually, what I would do.
All right, yeah. So we're gonna get to the point here now where we're gonna get into predictions here. So we do a prediction score. We predict the score. We run a contest every week. Shout out to Buffalo Wing Kings. They hook us up with a gift card for our winner. So I'm going to let you start with your score prediction you think is going to be this Sunday.
Oh, boy. Okay. I mean, you guys have blown out the Dolphins and the Texans. We lost to the Texans, beat the Dolphins. God, I could see this one getting ugly. I'll go, it's so messed up. I keep doing these guest spots for other podcasts, and every week every time I'm like, Jags are going to lose, because I can't. I don't know that I've ever picked the Jags except for against Miami. I did pick that, but this one could get ugly. I'll go Bills 31, Jags 14. It's going to be, if just any indication, because when Arizona came in, we thought that was going to be kind of a shellacking, and it turned out to be actually a little bit closer.
Yeah.
The Bills are much better, in my opinion, than the Arizona Cardinals. They're also a lot more veteran players as well, a little bit older. And I think I just have a lot of confidence in the Bills coaching staff to make sure that they're not down or looking past a Jaguar team that is clearly, without James Robinson, is going to have difficulty moving the football. So I'll go 31-14, 31-17 around that area. But 31-14 is where I'll land. And, they'll get a couple of late touchdowns to try and pad the stats, something like that.
Yeah, no, I'm pretty close. I'm about right there. I'm at 34-13. I think they're going to come out rolling this week, because they the first half last week against Miami at home, they looked really flat, and then they finally got it together in the second half, scored 23 points, and we're looking like the Bills. And then they're looking like we've been having red zone issues. So that kind of got a little bit of it got worked out last week, but we're still got this game and not looking ahead to. There's nothing really to look ahead to because next week we have the Jets.
Right.
So you're not like looking for another blockbuster game in that sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm pretty close with that too. But man, we appreciate. Or were you going to say something else?
Oh, I was the other thing I was going to say is also, I mean, the Bills fans travel really well, and we have a good Bills contingency here in Jacksonville. I mean, that's kind of just any Florida city. I mean, there's so many transplants from everywhere, but especially from New York. So there is we got a Buffalo Bills bar down here in Jacksonville, and the fans just travel really, really well. And, it's one of those things where it's, it is kind of a joke in the league where, other fans can pack out the stadium, but it's just a matter of this team. We haven't had a winner in so long. Like 2017, the atmosphere was so crazy, like this team and this fan base is so desperate for a winner. But, when they perform the way that they have been as of late, it allows fans like your fan base and other fan bases to come in and just be loud. And, it's unfortunate, but, I think Bills Mafia will definitely have a fun time for those of them that do make the trip down here to the stadium.
Yeah, I know. The last time we played, when we played in the playoffs, a couple of my buddies went down, and they ran a couple places out of booze. So I'm pretty sure Bills Mafia will have a strong group down there again. There's been a lot of group packages and stuff being sold throughout the off season. So there's definitely going to be a strong following because we travel well to every game.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't think this will be any different, especially going to Florida in November. That's always
right. Yeah, it's supposed to be super sunny, like 68 degrees. It's going to be great. I have season tickets with a friend of mine too. So, I mean, at least it'll be a nice day. We'll tailgate, but but also like the Bills and the Jaguars have like a weird rivalry, like dating back to the 90s too, like with that playoff run, and then of course they played again, and then the whole crazy Leonard Fournette thing that happened when in like 2018, like they have an interesting rivalry for teams that have never been in like the same division, and I think it's because like the markets are similar, we follow, my co-host and I, Jay, we follow Buffalo very closely because like you guys are about to head into this stadium thing. And Jacksonville is also very like within the next couple of years, we're going to have to start talking upgrade or new stadium. So it's like, we pay attention to these other smaller markets because like we need to follow not only what you guys are doing on the personnel side and like building a team, but also organizationally, we want to see what you guys do because we may need to follow like the same blueprint. So even though the teams like have this weird rivalry in the fan bases, like again, I'm always low key rooting for them when we're not playing each other, but we can learn a lot from each other, I think is the important part. Urban Meyer has been praising, the coaching staff all week and for a good reason. Like the formula that you guys have put together there is something that we need to follow, especially with Trevor Lawrence in the locker room. So hopefully we'll get there and, the game will be a little bit more entertaining in the future.
For sure. Yeah, no, a lot of trust in the process, ever since those guys, that's been their mantra since they came in, and, they've turned it around and it's been great. So I'm happy. Obviously I was born at the time, the last time that they were good. And then I had this gap until now. So it's, I'm just happy to be riding the wave.
For sure.
But Phil, we appreciate you getting on. Gave us some really good insight about Sunday's game going up. We're going to be looking out for the players that you mentioned. But I got to shout out the website again, overduebillspod.com, overduebillspod.com. Go get your merch. Check out the article from Mike. We're going to have all of our content on there. This video will be up there. And Phil, let the people know, where they can find you.
Yeah, absolutely, man. This was a blast. Again, thank you all so much for reaching out. Hopefully we can do it again with the whole crew. I'd love to meet everybody else as well. So shout outs to y'all for reaching out. You can find our stuff at Believe in Jags Pod on Twitter. Of course, I'm not sure a lot of your listener base is going to want to listen to a Jaguars podcast. So if you're looking for other stuff, I also have a pop culture show called the Wait For It podcast. We talk about movies, anime, video games, all that kind of stuff. And then I have another pop culture show called All Here It Goes, where we talk about 90s and 2000s cartoons, TV shows like that. So you can find me at Phil the Filipino, FILIPINO, over on Twitter, and that's pretty much where I do everything.
That's awesome, man. Awesome. So, we end every show with a little customary, hey.
Hey.
Normally it's another guy on here. We don't have the guests do it, but we had to have you fill this.
I'll do it.
Nope, you did just about as good as we do every time. Trust me.
Awesome.
I had to drop that one on you. All right, man. Thanks a lot, Phil.
Thanks, Matt.